Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Bites Weekly Show. This is a special edition, the Star Wars edition, and I'm hosting, but co-hosting with me today is my other best buddy, Phillip. What's up, Phillip?
What is happening, buddy? How are you?
I am great. We tried to get this
Good.
done closer to May the 4th, but crazy busy schedules, and it just
Crazy busy
happens.
schedules. Yeah.
But
Also, the time difference doesn't help, but you know,
True enough, true enough. But I think you're like me, and you know, we kind of celebrate Star Wars all year round, but I lean heavily into it in March, in May
hey,
anyway. Sorry, in May anyway. I just kind of take that month to celebrate Star Wars since it's already May the 4th.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, we're here. We're recording. This is a promised podcast for a long time, and we're finally doing it.
excited to do it. Excited to just talk about Star Wars, really, because I could just talk about Star Wars all day, but I love talking about Star Wars when somebody actually wants to have a conversation with me. So
A
that's
hundred
my
percent.
favorite.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so we'll just give little backgrounds on a couple things. So Philip and I have been friends for a very long time. Philip is actually Ketzeran's
Long time.
brother, if
Yeah.
you didn't know that.
For those who don't know, yeah,
Yeah,
but I think almost all of your viewers at least know by now.
probably,
Hey, that's
probably.
Catherine brother.
But Philip and I were friends first.
Yeah.
And we became friends through Halo, but
Hmm.
but more directly through Star Wars because I ran a group called KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, which is, my favorite video game of all time. And
Best video game of all time.
yeah, it is the best video game of all time. And uh Philip saw it and joined like right away. And as they say, it's been history ever since. Like we just instantly hit it off because our Star Wars knowledge and just like wanting to talk about Star Wars all the time. Plus, we had a lot of fun playing Halo together too.
Yeah.
But really, the glue that's always kept Philip and I close has been Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we have this unhealthy obsession and love for it for sure. If you couldn't tell by his curtain behind him, my tea
Yeah.
mug, and my shirt, and I actually have a Trapper Wolf helmet over there in the corner. You can kind of see it.
Oh yeah, I see just a little bit.
Yeah,
No, I'm right there with you. I got Red Five's helmet that Ketzerin got me for Christmas one year. It does a whole light up sounds and like dialogue from the Battle of the Death Star from A New Hope.
sick.
It's so fucking sweet, dude. Like I'm instantly 5 years old when when I put it on. I'm instantly five.
Well, of course, of
So
course.
yeah.
Uh,
So
so I guess let's give little backgrounds on like how we even became Star Wars fans. You want to go first, or do you want to think about it?
Yeah, sure. No, so this is the memory I have, and the memory I have when shared with other people, they will say it's wrong. I'll give you the memory I have, and then I'll give you the correct memory. But I remember watching Star Wars for the first time with my father.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was 5 years old. Ketson and I were visiting for the weekend, and I remember rummaging through his movies, asking what Star Wars was. And my dad got super excited about it. You've never seen Star Wars? Oh, let's watch all of them tonight. And I went, okay, that seems like a lot. Opening crawl and the music and the title, I was instantly like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then that first scene, everybody knows it, with the Princess Leia ship racing across the screen and the Star Destroyer just looming overhead. I was immediately hooked. I went, "Oh my god, that's a spaceship! That is so cool!" And and then my dad and I we watched New Hope and Empire Strikes Back that night, and then the following morning, because I fell asleep, the following morning we watched Return of the Jedi. So that is the memory that I have that got me into Star Wars. The memory that is told to me, that is quote unquote the correct one,
Okay.
was that I actually watched Star Wars the weekend before I watched Star Wars with my dad. I watched it with my older sister Danielle.
Mm.
Now I don't remember that, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I am saying that I remember the memory with my father first and more clearly because that's really one of like the best memories and one of really the only good memories I have of him.
Gotcha.
Um, so that memory itself means a lot more. Uh, but I don't dispute the fact that I probably watched Star Wars with my older sister the weekend before I watched Star Wars with my dad.
Nice.
Yeah,
Mine's a little more abstract. I don't have like a clear memory of what like it's been in my life for so long that it feels like it's always been there type deal.
yeah. Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but one thing I do specifically remember is my I went to my grandma and grandpa's house and they had my dad's old Star Wars toys. And I remember specifically, and I still have this toy. I remember specifically the OG Boba Fett toy. I thought it was like the coolest looking
Oh,
action figure ever.
nice.
Um, and so I was just like, what is this? What's this from? And then my parents were like, oh, it's Star Wars. And I was like, what's Star Wars? And they're like, we'll show you sometime. And then I just remember like I watched it and I really liked it, but I don't remember like when, or it was just sometime shortly after that, right? And I was obsessed. At the time, Hasbro had re-released the like original line, but in their own way, like not the
Mm.
Kiner ones or whatever. Was that what they were called? The original run,
Uh,
Kenner.
Kiner, Kiner, but that was the run that came out late 70s, early 80s, right?
Right.
But it was like a real stiff mold, like you could really only move both legs
Yeah, and
in one
that was
direction.
the Boba
Yeah,
Fett toy
yeah,
I
yeah,
had. I still have.
yeah.
It came in the full set came in the Darth Vader bust.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
He didn't have that, but he had like the individuals because I guess there was
Sure.
like, they had individuals and they had the full set. But anyway, I digress. Hasbro released their own line that was like similar, but it was like in their own molds. There were new molds
Yeah,
and they were a little more articulating and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, and I was just like, I remember like that's all I wanted was Star Wars toys my whole childhood until I was like a teenager. Basically, I just every Christmas
Last year.
I'd ask for Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
And I got basically all of them that were available to get on the 3.5 inch figures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
the 6 inch, but the 3.5. The ones that are like
yeah. The
yay
little
big.
real tiny ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that was before Black Series and stuff. So
And then Black Series came out, and like, oh,
yeah, and when Black Series came out, I got reinvigorated in my love for Star Wars toys and started
yeah,
collecting Black Series figures. Around the time whenever Force Awakens came out, actually,
yeah,
is whenever I started to get into them again. But yeah, I was always obsessed with the toys, and then the prequels came out, and at the time, obviously I was super excited for them to come out. Everyone was, and little kid me really enjoyed the prequels upon
yeah.
first
I
viewing.
think it's safe to say that us, like our generation, when Star Wars came out, we all loved it.
Right?
I remember loving Phantom Menace and
Yeah.
loving Attack of the Clones and loving, oh, and still love to this day, Revenge of the Sith. Now that we have brains and we can process and
Yeah.
understand shit, we're like, well, that actually kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And in a very endearing way, right? Because I look, I'll tell you right now, May's not done yet, and I've already watched the original trilogy 3 times. I've watched the prequel trilogy twice, and I've watched the sequel trilogy once, and that's because it's my least favorite trilogy. But the love for Star Wars is still there. Like
For sure.
this, this is a month long holiday for me, partially because it's also my birthday this month. I mean, Ketron's birthday, I guess too. Um,
And my wifey's
but
birthday.
and your wife's birthday. That is true. But it's always just like I love watching Star Wars, but I love having an excuse to watch Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's, oh, you're watching this again? Yeah, it's May, baby. So like, are we gonna party hardy or are you gonna like not be here?
Yeah, man. For sure. So prequels I usually watch once a year. That's like my max on those.
Sure.
Revenge of the Sith, however, I'll make an exception because there's parts that I adore, and sometimes I'll just fast forward to Duel of the Fates because I want to watch that
Oh,
too, and the Phantom Menace.
yeah.
Attack of the Clones, I pretty much just hate altogether. But we'll get into all that in a minute. We'll kind of go
Oh
through
yeah.
movie by movie and give our opinions. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite memories ever was my senior year. Um, sorry, my freshman year. Sorry, my freshman year. Revenge of the Sith came out,
Yep.
and everyone brought lightsabers to school and had their own lightsaber battle like the day they came out, and that was before midnight launches. So it came out that Friday, and that's when everyone.
Yeah.
Well, my baseball practice got canceled that Friday because of rain. So I was able to
Oh,
go watch it during the premiere on that
nice.
Friday, and it was like one of the best moments of my life. Just like watching Star Wars during a premiere. You know?
Yeah. I think I want to say Star Wars was actually one of the first movies to start the midnight premieres because that year that Revenge of the Sith came out, 2005, it came out on my birthday.
Oh yeah.
And I remember, yeah, I
Wow.
remember begging my mom, please, can I go see it at midnight? Please, 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 can I do that? And that be my birthday gift. You don't have to get me presents. We don't have to go to dinner. I want to see Star Wars at midnight. And I went with my older sister. We went to the midnight showing, and then because it came out on a Friday on my birthday, my mom let me take the day off from
Oh,
school,
nice.
and we as a family went to go see Star Wars at like
Again.
10:30 in the morning. Yeah, dude, it was so cool. It was so cool.
Well, I grew up in a small town, so we didn't have midnight showings. So,
Sure, sure.
yeah,
Yeah, the not that the Springs is like a big town, but no, for sure. Like it was just really incredible, and what a magical experience.
so magical.
So
Um, well, I think before we get deep dive a little bit, what would you say is your level of expertise in Star Wars? Are you a Star Wars not master? That's not what the word I'm looking for. Expert? Are you an expert?
I can I am confident in the information I have for Star Wars lore and trivia surrounding the movies, surrounding the show, the shows up to I would probably say like mid-season Clone Wars is where my information starts to dull a
Okay.
little bit. Um, the expanded universe, which is now considered Legends, I
Yeah.
am much more intimately familiar with than new canon that Disney has been coming out with. Um, I think besides the High Republic era books and the new Thrawn trilogy, I don't think I've read any of the new Star Wars books.
I've
Um,
still not read the new Thrawn trilogy. I am about to finish the first High Republic book. It's taken me a minute because it's kind of a
yeah,
slog. Uh,
no, it really is. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So
So
I
I would say I know quite a bit, but if we are wanting to be those type of people to split hairs between legends, continuity, and not excuse me, non-legends continuity, then I am not an expert.
I wouldn't call myself an expert because I've met true experts and they remember like ship tags and call signs and
Oh,
stuff like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Like the heavy trivia level. I'm definitely not to that level, but like Star Wars is my shit. It's my favorite thing uh other than my kids and my wife on this planet. Uh
A
and
fair third.
but I would definitely wouldn't consider myself an expert. I would say I'm a Star Wars aficionado.
I like that term. Yeah.
I know more than most for sure. And I think
Yeah.
and my buddy Dan, we need to all get in a room and talk because he's the same way as us. And this is where we have kind of our fandoms stand out compared to other people's level of fandom is the extended universe stuff.
Yeah.
Um, we grew up on it and we consumed I mean, this was before the prequels even happened, right? Like we were
Yeah.
reading extended universe books because we're like, I need more
We need
Star
more Star Wars.
Wars.
Yeah.
Like there's only these three movies. Like what else do I do? Like I got to get more and more
Yeah.
and more and more and more. So
Yeah.
we consumed everything we could, including the terrible video games that came out then. There were some decent ones, but most of them were bad.
There were some good ones. There were
Yeah.
some good ones.
Yeah, the
Right.
Rogue Squadron games were good.
They were super tight.
Academy was
Shadows of the
okay.
Empire.
Shadows of the
Shadows
Empire
of
was
the Empire.
good. Yeah.
So good.
But there were some bad ones too, for sure. Let's be
Oh yeah.
real.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um so yeah, like I'm not going to be able to tell you what Thrawn's ship's call sign actually is, like his number, his new, like the
Yeah.
T1768.
Yeah.
I don't know any of
So,
that stuff, but I can tell you about a lot of the books, and I can tell you I've watched all the live action, I've watched all of the animated except for Tales of the Empire, and I'm about a full season behind of Bad Batch now, but I've watched all the other animated shows except for Resistance. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch.
I've watched the first 4 episodes of Resistance, and honestly, from those episodes, you're
I
not missing anything.
I couldn't get into it. I watched the first four too, and then uh, I didn't watch like the Young Jedi stuff, but that's like kids, and like I
Yeah.
tried to throw it on for my kids, and they weren't even interested. And I'm like, well, that's how you know.
Um, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I consume as much Star Wars as I possibly can with my given time.
Yeah.
Uh, I play through
Uh,
I play through KOTOR, my favorite game of all time, at least once a year.
100%.
Yeah. I watch all the movies, like a few times a year. I don't know a number because like it varies, but definitely more than once. I watch them every year.
Sure.
Um, and I try to read the books when I can, the new ones. I don't like
Yeah.
them as much as the extended universe ones, but I get through them because at the end of the day, it's still more expansion of the universe that I love the most,
Yep.
and it gives little tidbits to build on in the future. So I'm always here for it.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Uh, have you watched any of Tales of the Empire yet?
No, I just said that's one I haven't seen yet. It
Oh,
just
I thought you
dropped
said you just
like
watched it.
what,
Yeah.
last week?
Last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it actually dropped on Star Wars Day.
Yeah,
Thankfully.
that's right. That's right. It
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I've been busy with other consuming other things. It's been a crazy TV show month and a
Sure.
half. But X-Men 97 is almost over. The
So good.
which has been
It is so
phenomenal.
good.
And it ends tomorrow actually. So I'm gonna try to pick it up and binge it. I've heard it's not as good as Tales of the Jedi, which is hard to beat because that's some of the best Star Wars content ever put out.
Yeah. No, that was Tales of the Jedi was really good. And I think that's a fair statement. It's not my personal opinion. I don't think it's as good as Tales of the Jedi. I did like seeing the aspect shown of how the Inquisitorius was formed,
Okay, that's cool.
and the early trainings that it shows there. Um, but I personally was unhappy um, with how Eris's story continues.
Barasafi.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's disappointing too
it,
because actually you and I sat down and talked about this in person recently. But Barris is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. Her dynamic is
super compelling.
she's got a really heavy story, um,
Yeah,
and her books, the MedStar 1 and 2 books.
mm,
Those are some of my favorite books. Like actually, I think those are canon still.
um, I think so
Yeah,
actually.
because they happened during the Clone Wars and all the stuff they wrote about the Clone
Yeah,
Wars, they still kept canon. So yeah, that's disappointing. That sucks. That's hard to
that's
hear.
well, but I say that, and with us talking about it in person, you know that I generally don't care for Barris personally. I can appreciate her story and the growth and her view and the perspective that she's had. I can appreciate it, and that's a wonderful storytelling aspect. I just didn't care for her as a character.
Gotcha.
So I already went into it kind of like already with my foot halfway out the door. Like, yeah, it's about Barris, but I'm gonna watch it, right? Because it's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars, and any Star Wars is good Star Wars. Almost any Star Wars is good Star Wars. But I enjoyed it. It was just all right. This isn't kind of fully what I expected. That being said, I liked what they showed in her story and the progression with it. I just didn't care for how the story continued.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, but that's it wasn't bad by any means. I'm gonna watch it again, um, so I can pick up on things that I missed the first watch.
Of course.
Um, so and it's I mean it's Star Wars, man.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love it even when it's bad.
I'm excited to watch. It's funny you mentioned that because we had a guest on our show, who someone I've known forever too, for a long time, Tressa Bowling, and her love for Star Wars is immense as well. And I asked her about the sequel trilogy, and she was just like, anytime there's Star Wars, I'm happy that there's Star Wars out, so I can't really complain.
Yeah,
And I was like, I actually like that perspective.
yeah,
Like, so I've gotten in tons of debates about the sequel trilogies, and maybe we'll just start there.
sure.
Um, you know, there's redeeming qualities about all of them. All three movies,
Yeah,
there are redeeming qualities.
yes,
Um, I know I stand on an island alone in saying that tied for my favorite Star Wars movie with Empire is The Force Awakens. I I
yeah,
I just think The Force Awakens is a perfect Star Wars movie. It does everything I want Star Wars to do. It had old characters, that had new characters. It was fun, like legit funny.
yeah,
Which again, people forget how funny the original trilogy, like, and at
yeah,
times was.
yeah,
Um, and the character development, it was the most gorgeous Star Wars. Still to this day, is still the most gorgeous Star Wars. Um, yeah, I don't know. I loved everything about it, and people want to say it was a rehash of A New Hope, and you can say that all you want, and because every Star Wars story is the same. It's yeah. If you've ever heard of circle theory with Star Wars,
yeah.
it's all the same. So you could say that if you want. I don't really care. It doesn't take away the fact that it was a perfect Star Wars movie.
No, and it's I'm one of those people that would tell you to your face that it is a rehash of A New Hope, almost shot for shot.
Hey, so is everything
Um,
else.
no, right. Star Wars Circle Theory. Um, I will concede. I will fully. I'm right there with you on your side that it is a gorgeous movie. I do love the new characters. Loved the old characters showing their faces again. Uh, Cinematically, it was a wonderful movie. The score was John Williams, and he doesn't put out anything bad
Yeah, and honestly, it was one
ever.
of his best, like Ray's theme and stuff. So good,
Yeah,
so good.
it's so I'm there with you, man. And so the sequel trilogy as a whole, uh, story wise, is a mess.
Yeah, it's terrible,
Uh,
but
but
that's a
The Force
product
Awakens
of
is a
production.
sure. Oh yeah, The Force Awakens is a wonderful movie. The Last Jedi on its own is a wonderful movie.
Yeah, that's something we agree on. And shouts out to Dan again. We talk at length about this. We take up for the Last Jedi all the time. I think it's a great Star Wars movie. I
Yeah.
just think it was a terrible trilogy movie.
Yes. Agreed.
Like if you just take it and put it on its own as its like own side story, then
Yeah.
like I'm here for it.
Great movie.
Canto
Yeah.
Bite was terrible. I hated Canto Bite. I don't mind it, but like the fact that they spent so much time on Cantabite
Yeah.
and had like the weird like PETA like stuff like
Oh
innuendos
yeah.
in it, and it's just
Yeah.
like, dog, what are we doing? This is Star Wars. We
Yeah.
don't get political in
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Well, but Star Wars is very political.
Right, but not like full frontal like I'm going to yell this from the mountaintops. Like, yeah, it's really a it talks against fascism and shit, right? Like that's like its overall message, like which is great. Like Rebels, right? Like yeah. But no, and then so we agree there, and then we also agree in the fact that The Last Jedi is just or sorry, Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker is just straight trash.
There's the redeeming qualities of that movie, in no particular order, but I'm going to list them this way: is the score,
Yes.
cinematography,
Yeah.
and the fact that the script was horrible, but the actors gave everything they could.
Yeah. I'd agree with
I,
that.
I do not I do not blame the actors at all for the way the Rise of Skywalker
Was written.
was produced.
Yeah.
I fully have issue with the way it was directed, the way it was written as a wrap up to, and I don't know if you remember the tagline for it, but concluding a saga's worth of story, right? That was a big tagline that stuck with me during the promotions
Yeah.
for Rise of Skywalker was we're wrapping up a saga's worth of storytelling, and like that message and with the movie that we got, I was like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
know I'm just some guy who lives in Colorado next to some mountains, but I can guarantee that I could have fleshed that out a little better.
For
Not
sure.
much, but like, ugh, what just a huge stinky pile of poop
Yeah.
that story was.
Yeah. Like it
Beautiful, beautiful. It
for
looked
sure.
great. The set pieces were wonderful. All the actors, stellar job. And again, the score is John Williams, and you can tell his passion for the project
He's the goat.
through like a
He's the
hundred
goat.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It was just it's
To me, the parts I liked about it, I liked I can't remember the chick's name. Bliss, something Bliss, Zori Bliss. Is that right? Zori
story.
Poe
Uh,
Dameron's ex fling that like gives him the
or,
pass.
I can't remember if they say her name, her last name.
She
I
had
thought it was just Dory.
she has a name. Uh,
Oh, I believe it. I can't remember if they said it.
Regardless,
And if anybody knows, please tell us.
I actually
I'm
really like that character. I wish they would have shown a little more of her, but I liked her a lot.
yeah.
Um, I really liked the lightsaber battle between Rey and Kylo in the ocean. I thought
Mhm.
that was
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah,
I thought it was truly
wonderful.
one of the best lightsaber battles in Star Wars history. Um, and then I actually liked the light speed splicing. I thought that was cool that they actually showed that because we have seen that in other mediums before. So it was cool
Yeah.
they actually did it. Um, and like it was beautifully shot too. Like the animation and stuff for that was like really cool. But that's really about it. I hated pretty much everything else. Um, Plot wise, it makes zero
Yeah.
sense. Like the line somehow Palpatine returned is like
The fact
forever.
that that was even,
Ugh,
yeah, the fact that that even cleared the draft stage. Somehow
right.
Palpatine returned. Are we gonna explain how? Nah.
Nah, he just
Oh,
somehow
what? Ooh,
somehow.
yeah, somehow.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, overall it was a mess, and that's honestly it's Disney's fault, Kathleen Kennedy's fault, because the stories that have come from that about how that JJ wanted to he was originally set to direct all three. He wanted to, but they didn't want to wait on him to finish his Star Trek project. So
Yeah.
they're like, Ryan Johnson, you do it. And he's like, okay. And then Ryan Johnson does what Ryan Johnson does, which is
And subvert
subvert
expectations.
exactly. Um
Ugh.
which Actually, I
Look, that works. That works if the medium he is telling isn't such a if the fans of the media he's trying to tell the story don't have years and years and years of previous
right,
storytelling
knowledge.
elements
Yeah.
and knowledge and like, no, this is how it works. Well, actually, it doesn't. Like
The one
that
thing
kind of
I actually
storytelling works if it's not Star Wars.
the one thing I actually did like was about like how he subverted expectations was about Ray's parents. Like if they just would have been nobodies, like that would have been incredible.
Yeah,
That would have been so cool. That would have been. We've talked about this at length too. It would have been such an amazing message if they would have hammered home the idea that a nobody can be like the strongest person in the galaxy. Like
yeah,
that is such a cool thing and a great message for youth and everyone. That like it doesn't matter your circumstances, your parents, filthy deadbeat junk traders left you,
yeah,
abandoned you. You still turned out to be amazing. Like that's
yeah.
such a cool message. And then you know, JJ had his general idea how he wanted to finish the trilogy before Ryan came in and did all this, and yeah, it just didn't, none of it added up, none of it made sense. It should have been one director, and if at the very least it should have been, if it were going to have three directors, you should have had them sit in a room and write out everything before they actually direct the movies.
Yeah. Listen, this is the story we are going to tell for the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the points we want to get. Here's the points. Here's the story beats we need to get across.
However we get
And
there is up to you guys.
yeah, however we hit those, we leave it in your direction. But this is what we're doing.
And they
And it's
clearly had no
just such
plan. They clearly had no plan.
none, none.
And this,
JJ came in, he had a general idea. Ryan came in and said, we're going to do this instead. And then JJ came back and said, well, we're going to try and fix it so that all this still kind of ends with my original idea. And it shows.
the worst
Across all
part,
three movies, it shows.
the worst part is the stories that came out from that movie about what happened during production of The Rise of Skywalker. Like JJ was literally pulled out of the think tank by Kathleen Kennedy several times saying we need to get this movie done. We need to get this movie done. He's like
Yeah,
trying to figure out how to put all the pieces together and make it work.
yeah,
And there's anonymous execs that have come out and said from the project that like she would do it like multiple times a day, like just pull him out of the think tank and like how are you supposed to get a movie that of that
anything done.
magnitude done whenever you've got someone hounding you the whole time and like rushing you, and it's like he's trying to fix this giant mess that was given to him.
Yeah.
I don't blame J.J. Abrams at all. I actually feel really bad for him about it because it was a dream of his to make Star Wars because he was such a huge fan growing up. It was like
Mhm.
his dream job, right? He finally gets it, and then they like ripped it from him. Basically,
Yeah.
they made a mockery of him after his amazing installment. Yeah, it's just a
Well,
shame.
it is. But I want to change gears because I don't want this full hour to be a negative session about
No,
Star Wars.
absolutely.
I also want us to talk about the good stuff we love about Star Wars. So we're gonna jump and I'm gonna switch it to now. We're gonna talk about the prequels because those are movies that you and I specifically grew up with. Uh, and
Although
so
it's mostly
either
bad
I
for
can
that
start.
too, but
Well, I mean, I would say it's rose tinted glasses at best, right? Because when we were kids, and so for me personally, obviously, um, I loved everything about the Phantom Menace when it came out. I loved that there was a whole order of Jedi that we got to see. I loved that there were cooler, kind of cleaner ships, and that the Republic was in this golden age kind of thing. I loved that the concept of corruption was so deep that even something as pure as the Jedi were not inescapable from it. Um, Obviously, that thought comes later, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
at the time when I was a kid, I loved the Jedi Order. I loved seeing a planet city. Seeing Coruscant for the first time was so dope.
for sure.
Uh, the pod race was super cool. Jar Jar Binks was super funny, and as a kid, I loved him. As a kid, I loved him.
Dude, you
Uh,
I didn't. I was annoyed every time he was on screen,
I was
even as a
it
kid.
was it was it was slapstick humor, and I am not an intelligent man, but I also wasn't an intelligent kid. So it was just like he did his job. He made me laugh. It was so funny whenever he was on screen. The idiot. Um, I loved the space battle with the Naboo forces and the
Anakin.
Federation,
Yeah.
and Anakin doing his thing, being a super cool star pilot at the age of 9.
By the way,
Uh,
I actually am really good at this because I can do pod racing.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I I mean, it goes without saying that the Duel of Fates is one of the best choreographed lightsaber battles there is
Duel of
to
Fate.
date.
Let me be clear about something.
Oh,
Duel of Fates is just one of the best cinematic experiences in movie history.
period.
Like the music, that's the best. That's the best song from a movie ever. I like
Yeah,
Duel of the Fates is unequivocally like the most hype shit from a movie ever.
yeah.
And then, like you said, the choreograph too. It's like something we had never seen before with Star
Never seen
Wars.
before. And then,
Um,
but when you're looking at it, you're like, well, this kind of makes sense because this is a whole order of warrior monks that spend their lives training and practicing. So of course they're going to be professional about lightsaber
right,
fighting.
and like you
They're
said, it's like at the tail end of the golden age of Jedi. So like, of
yeah,
course, they would spend all their time just like practicing their craft. But like,
yeah.
also, let's just be real about something. Darth Maul was like the coolest character ever. Like as a kid,
Oh, 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, 100%. There's this dude in all black with horns and tattoos on his face.
and a double bladed lightsaber, which we had also never seen before.
I was the only. If I could go back and change one thing about the promotions leading up to the release of the Phantom Menace, I would take away the snippet of Maul igniting his second lightsaber. I would
Yeah,
take that out of all the trailers so that we could see it in the theaters for the first time and just have that
I
whoa
agree.
during the movie. Because seeing it in the trailer, that was one of the things I was like, yeah, is that a double bladed lightsaber? Did he have two? Did he have two on? What?
I remember
Now
I
I have to
got
see.
his lightsaber for Christmas the year that movie came out, and it was just like the coolest gift ever.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I so the Phantom Menace. I actually love the pod racing stuff and still do.
Yeah,
I think that was really cool. And honestly, the pod racing game on N64 is super underrated. That game's amazing.
so
It's
fun.
so much fun. Um, I actually wish they would have shown more pod racing like later on in the series. I was kind of sad that they didn't. Like Anakin going back to his roots and having to like do a mission to win a race to win back his mom or something like that. That would have been so
Um,
cool.
you know what? I mean, it kind of. There's a book. Oh, uh, there's a book with Obi-Wan and Anakin where they go back to Tatooine.
I
And
did not
he
read
he
that
does
one.
a pod race where he does a pod race as a Jedi Padawan, and like Sebulba is back in it, and it turns out that Sebulba bought his Anakin's pod racer. And so Anakin was dealing with the emotions of that, like, hang on, why does he have my old pod racer? And Obi-Wan's like, well, it's not really yours, and it shouldn't matter because you're a Jedi now. So like, get your head out of your ass, kind of
And
thing.
chill out, bro.
Um, yeah. And so, so there is a book. I'll have to dig through uh, my bookshelves and find which book it is, but
Yeah, I've never
there
read
is
that
there
one.
is a story. There is a
Cool.
story where, yeah, I'll try to find it for you.
Nice.
Um, yeah, man, pod racing was dope. Um, the the Battle of Theed between Amidala and the Naboo forces
Yeah.
was cool. The battle between the Gungans and the Droid army was cool. Like there was so much going on, and it
Yeah.
was all
I
fantastic. And 8 year
reenacted
old me loved it.
I reenacted the Gungan droid battle several
So you
times with my action figures growing up. Like
oh yeah,
so cool.
and see, I did the space battle because I
Nice.
had one of the things I got for Christmas was the Naboo Starfighter.
Never had that
So
one. I had the ships that I had like it was few and far between when you got a ship growing up. Those were expensive, man.
yeah. No, they were expensive.
I had the X-wing, Luke's X-wing, the one with lights and sounds. I still have it. It's here somewhere. The Millennium Falcon with lights and sounds, which I still have here. Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Let's see what else. Oh, the Sand Speeder. I had that. I had the bikes. I had a couple of those. The speeder
Oh,
bikes.
the speeder bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had three of those. I had Luke's, Leia's, and then a speed trooper.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I had I had a dewback and a what was the other thing called? The one that at the beginning of the movie where it shows a Jawa being falling off of it. Oh, what are those things
Bantha.
called? Huh?
The Tusken
No,
Raiders, the
it's
Banthas.
not a bantha. That's Tusken Raider. It was the thing that looks like a giraffe, kind of, with the long neck.
Oh,
Can't remember the name of those things.
yeah. Oh man.
I had one of those
Yeah.
randomly. Came with the Jawa, and like you could reenact that scene where you like buck the Jawa off. It's got like a rope it hangs
That's
onto.
hilarious. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
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 I had
Yeah.
every toy from those movies, man. I even had the droid, the mechanical lift droid at the begin during that same
Oh
scene
yeah.
where it shows him lifting up the like
We're just lifting
the metal
up the
pipes.
rock. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love lifting.
I have that droid. Yeah, man,
Hilarious.
it's crazy. They're all at my parents' house. I need to get them and bring them here and show
Yeah.
you. As a matter of fact, if they come this weekend, I'm gonna have them bring them
Okay.
so you can see them all. So during that the Phantom Menace though, some of the craziest marketing ever. I like my parents still have the Anakin Pod Racer topper drink topper from Burger King and the cup. They still have
Mm.
that.
Okay.
They had like these little cards, like holographic cards that you got in Lay's chip bags.
Yeah. I was trying to collect all of those, and then
I lost them. I don't know what happened to them all.
yeah, I was a kid. I lost them.
Yeah. They had the like all the Pepsi products had like the caps you unscrewed and try to win like Star Wars gear with them, and they
Mhm.
all had like promotional Star Wars material on them. It was just all over the place. There's so much marketing for that movie, and I remember you remember the communicator that the Jedi used.
Yes.
So that series of toys came with these little microchips that you would sit those chips. They could stand. The figures could stand on them. They all had holes on their feet
Mhm.
where they'd stand on these chips, and you place that chip on the communicator, and it would say things that the character said from the movies.
Mm.
Still have that too. Uh,
That's
just
awesome.
so much random stuff that they made, and I had it all. I was so into it, and then the Clone Wars came, and similar marketing happened.
Yep.
And sorry, Attack of the Clones, not Clone Wars.
I knew what you meant, but
Attack
for our viewers, yeah.
Attack of the Clones happened, and like I knew, like I had matured a little bit because it was a couple years later, right? And like
Yeah.
felt something felt off about that one. I remember like the love story felt so shallow between
Yeah.
Anakin and Padme. Even as a youngling, I was like, man, come on.
Yeah.
Um,
This is I don't think like I know I'm only 10, but I don't think this is how you win somebody over.
yeah, yeah,
Um, being super creepy about it.
exactly.
So,
I don't like sand. I hate sand.
yeah. Like she clearly doesn't want you to touch her and you're doing it anyways. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. But I did love Jango Fett a lot, and I
Oh, dude.
love that scene with him and young Boba Fett where they're fighting on the clone station. I forget the name of that clone station. They're
Uh,
fighting with Obi-Wan on it.
Pika City on Camino.
Camino, that's it, Camino.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Pika?
I can't remember the city. It's
Something.
something like that.
It begins with a T. It's something T to the city.
Right, but that battle with the
Um,
rain and stuff, like, oh man, that shit was so cool.
so sick.
Yeah. And,
Um,
and,
Go ahead.
and then I even love the arena battles whenever Django got his head cut off by Mace
Yeah.
Windu. All that was cool too.
Dude, so I do love Attack of the Clones. Uh, and I wish there was like an official edit or something like on Disney that I could watch. I could watch Attack of the Clones, and from the moment it splits off to the two stories between Obi-Wan's investigation and Padme and Anakin trying to figure out this crazy thing called love.
If you just omit
Um,
that,
Dude, yeah, dude. Because if you take out the still cringy Anakin Padme love story, and but keep Obi Wan's investigation is freaking sweet,
it's
man.
so
It's
fun.
so good.
It is
It's
so
so
fun.
good. And then if you keep in the scene where, I mean, really, I guess from when Anakin and Padme go to Tatooine, and then keep that in because then you're starting to see Anakin struggle with his emotions, and you're
Right.
seeing him, have that fear grow into anger, and have that anger really shine
And
through his hate
also
when he's cutting down
and
the
also
Tuskens. Like,
second guess
dude,
the Jedi Council. Yeah.
yeah, like the scene where he takes Owen's speeder bike and is tracking down his mom, and the score, right? The score for that is intense
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
crazy, and like he is a man on a mission. And there's certain images and the way they did the shadows on the wall, where as Anakin is saying bye to Padme, and it shows the silhouette of Vader, but it's still like that was brilliantly done. The silhouette of Anakin on the speeder bike, where again, and it's a quick frame or a quick set of frames where it looks like it's Vader on a speeder bike. You're like, that dude is pissed. He's gonna tear some shit up when he gets to where he's going. And then he gets to the Tuscan camp and finds his mom and dies. And the swelling of the
that
music with the
scene that
violins,
scene actually is dope.
dude,
Yeah.
so good. I still get chills when I watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, he is
You
angry.
see his eyes, dude.
Angry.
His eyes are just
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
God dang,
And
bro.
then you don't even see him massacre. You just see him cut down the first two dudes and get to swipe, and then right, you feel that catastrophe. You hear Qui-Gon yelling at Anakin to stop. And
Right.
then you see Yoda like feeling that intensity across the galaxy
Also,
from one dude. Like,
yeah,
holy
speaking
moly.
of Yoda, you get to see Yoda be a badass at the end of the movie
Yeah,
too. So
100%.
yeah.
Like, again, Attack of the Clones is a great movie as long as you skip the cringy love scenes between Anakin and Padme.
Yeah, and honestly, there was a little too much Senate stuff too, like just a tad bit too much.
Sure.
Um, like the way that fleshes out in Attack of the Clone or in Clone Wars is so much better, and like they should have
Yeah.
just left it to that, right? If they knew they were going to do the animated show anyway, they should just left all that nitty gritty stuff to that because that stuff was amazing in Clone Wars. I mean, that's part of the reason Clone Wars is so good is because it does such a good job fleshing out the
Yeah.
maniacalness
Yeah.
of Palpatine.
Yeah.
So, and then we also share the love for Revenge of the Sith. I think it's a really
Uh,
freaking good movie. It
Best
definitely,
prequel movie. Easily,
oh, by
I can
far,
say that. Yeah.
by
There
far.
is, it's bar none. Yeah.
I will say like there's still parts of it where I'm like, man, really, but like when the way Padme dies is the stupidest fucking thing
Ugh.
imaginable.
Look,
I'm dying
so
cuz sad.
that's what they say in the movie. I don't know if this is true or not. This is the story I tell myself to be okay with it. Is that Padme dies as Anakin is being born as Darth Vader, and in my head, what makes sense is that Palpatine took the life force from Padme to save the person Palpatine loves from dying. Right? And what a more sinister
Shmi
way
or
to do that
whatever.
than to, huh?
Or what was his lover's name? I can't remember. Not Shmi. That was Anakin's mom's name.
Yeah,
Who was his lover? Uh
Palpatine.
Palpatine, yeah.
I don't remember
There's
him
something in
having
the
one.
EU about it. Where he had a chick and like that's what
Oh,
started him down the
I was,
dark
uh,
side. Yeah.
no, no. he takes Padme's life force to save Anakin's life well, to save Vader's life and have him become Vader. Because and now from Palpatine's perspective, what a more sinister and just self-satisfying way to ensure what you want by taking the very thing that that person wanted in life,
Yeah.
right? Just how sadistic and how evil is that to kill that woman to literally and take her energy and save his life. Oh, so anyways, that's the story I tell myself. That's why she dies of sadness.
I tell
But
you what,
like,
that makes a
it's
lot more
actually
sense than the original.
because Palpatine is taking her energy and transferring it to Anakin, and that's what I'm telling myself, and that's what I'm gonna tell myself every time I watch the movie till I die.
Yeah. Even though it is heavily choreographed, the Mustafar lightsaber battle is insane.
Oh,
So
so
good.
good,
Um,
so good.
I am sad that we didn't get more Obi-Wan and Grievous like tension in the movies.
Yeah.
I'm glad they put him in the movie because he was so beloved in the Clone Wars cartoon, but still yet.
Well, so um, the movie came out in 2005, and Craig Travasky,
Yeah.
the 2D Clone Wars series came out in the weeks leading up to uh, Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
And then that, yeah, and so that was super awesome the way they kind of tied it in. And I think it was like the last two episodes that we saw Coruscant was being attacked, and then right for the fans that watched it, you and me, other fans like us, we were like, oh my god, Coruscant's under attack, and for that to have be the opening sequence for Revenge of the Sith, dope.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then
So
we don't really have to talk about the original trilogy much because they're just goated. Um,
yeah,
even the people that want to shit
but we're
on,
gonna.
even well, I mean, A New Hope's perfect. I don't know what else to say about it. It's literally perfect. Same with Empire. There's no complaints about either of those movies. People have their complaints about Return of the Jedi. I still think it's perfect. Like I understand the Ewoks thing gets a little played out, and like he was definitely doing it for Lucas was definitely doing it for merch sales and shit. But I still think that movie's perfect, even with the Ewoks nonsense.
I I get with where he was going with the Ewoks, like from an in-universe storytelling point, that even the greatest of empires can be brought down by
The
the
littlest
smallest.
thing, yeah, yeah.
I just wish instead of the Ewoks, he went with his original idea and used the Wookiees.
I
I
agree.
just, I think still that would have been just a more intense battle, and I think like it would have drawn a little more connection. Like, oh my god, like yeah, the short and cuddly teddy bears are cute and everything, but like I think the emotional draw for me would have been Chewie. So Chewie's like doing this to save his people, and so there's just that recognition. Like even you know Chewie is in this battle for his planet, not just because his best buddy is best friends with the Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for
Like
sure.
like he has a stake in this because it's his planet that he's trying to free from the Empire. So I just I just would wish it would have been
I'll backtrack
the
and talk a
Wookiee.
little bit about the prequels because I really did enjoy the Wookiee stuff we got in the
Yeah,
prequels. I thought that was a cool addition. Of course, we get to
yeah,
go and play on Kashyyyk in KOTOR and really get
yeah.
a good idea of their culture and stuff, which is so freaking cool. Like,
I love how you segue into KOTOR. By the way, beautiful, beautiful.
of course, uh, best game ever.
100%.
Well, so let's wrap up movie talk. We're running out of time to do too much more. We could probably do probably 20 more minutes or so, but there's still tons to
Dude, we
talk
could
about.
honestly, yeah, we could probably sit down and just talk about Star Wars for like 4 hours before I even start to get tired. And,
Yeah,
and just like not tired of talking to Star Wars, just physically tired.
haven't we literally talked on the phone for like 2 hours about Star Wars
Yeah,
before?
yeah. And we only had to stop because you had to go be a dad.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Uh so I want to quickly give like, so we didn't even talk about the one-off movies. So
No.
let's quickly talk about those. Rogue
Yeah.
One, I think, was phenomenal.
Great movie. Shows that there does not have to be a Jedi in sight for it to be a great Star Wars movie. 100%. I
Yep,
appreciate the and forgive the pun, but the grounded aspect of it. Um, because Star Wars at the end of the day is people living in a universe far, far away,
yep.
in a galaxy far, far away.
Galaxy
Sorry,
far, far
my bad.
away. The We
Um,
actually saw that together on premiere
yeah,
weekend. So yeah,
that was a great day.
it was a great day. We're both mad at Ketsoran forever for falling asleep during it.
Seriously,
What a
ugh,
loser!
so much.
How could you fall asleep during Star Wars?
I
Get out of here.
can't believe she's my sister.
So we both agree Rogue One's amazing.
Great.
Solo I thought was entirely unnecessary, and even though I did like parts of it quite a bit, it drug on a lot. And every time they'd like throw in those little punchlines like, "Oh, your last name's Solo," because you, I was just like,
Ugh,
I just groaned. I was like, ugh,
yeah. No, that's yeah. I didn't like. So I love Solo. Um, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but I'll say it for people who haven't heard me say this. Um, I loved Solo because, yeah, it was a movie about our favorite smuggler. Um, but for the fans, for people like you, like me, like Dan, like even Ketsurin, where she doesn't know all of it, but she knows Solo's story without even seeing the movie beforehand.
right.
We knew
We knew all
the
this,
big story beats. We knew all of it. So as a storytelling plot device, I didn't go into this movie expecting to be shocked or wow, I didn't know that or that's something I learned today.
right,
Um, because we knew that he was born on Corellia,
right,
and we knew that he joined the Imperial Academy to get off Corellia. We knew that he got kicked out of the academy. We knew that he fell into the smuggling underworld, and we knew
and met
that
Chewbacca and got a life debt with
yeah,
him. Yeah,
yep, that he saved Chewbacca's life, and Chewbacca owed him a life debt. And we knew that he was gonna, or that he won the Millennium Falcon from
from
Lando in a
Lando.
game of Survive.
Yeah,
Right? We knew all of those things. Anybody who's watched the original trilogy knew that's what the movie was going to be. And we were just what we didn't know was how those things were transpired. Um, so I took it for what it was. It was a fun summer action movie
I
with
guess.
I knew that it was going to end, you know, very cliched with Chewie and Han flying off into the sunset on the Millennium Falcon. I knew it was going to end like that because of course it's going to end like that because it has to end like that
Yeah,
for
I
the
liked
story to make sense.
I liked the Enfys Nest character. I liked Amelia Clark's
Yeah.
role and character, and with Paul Bettany as well. I thought that plot was really
Paul
cool.
Bettany was wonderful in that movie.
What a
Fantastic.
great character his
Fantastic.
character was. I forgot his character's name, but
Uh,
forget it. I think it starts
what
with
is
an S or something. And then I liked 1337. I thought she was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, yeah. She's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And of course, Donald Glover as Lando was chef's kiss perfection.
He did it so great.
I
He did it
wish,
so
I
great.
hope the rumor's true that we are getting a Lando TV show with him, because
I would love to.
that'd be
Yes, I
great.
would love that.
That'd be so good.
And
That's the kind of
could you,
Star Wars content we need.
could you imagine that story, like that series too? Like it would start off with how great would this be? Billy D. Williams, sitting as Lando and narrating these great, extravagant,
Uh
over the top stories,
he's like telling
and
his
then
buddies
someone coming
about
in,
it. Yeah.
yeah, and then someone coming in like, well, hang on, you told me, and then it like actually cuts to how it happened with Donald Glover as young Lando. How
Yes.
great would that be,
That'd be
dude? That'd be
sick.
so good.
Good idea, man. That's sick.
Hey, thanks. These are the
um
kind of things I think.
and then we had what else did we have? TV, or not TV show, but movie wise. I'm forgetting one.
Uh, no, that was it. I mean, unless you want to count the Clone Wars movie, that was
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, that's right.
prelude to the Clone Wars show.
I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about Mando because it just like ties in everything. But yeah,
Yeah,
uh, so yeah, we had those two one offs. So like
yep,
how let's go through quickly and rank the live action just movies. I'll
live
start.
action. Okay,
So I'll start at the bottom and work my way up. So at the very bottom,
okay,
I have Solo.
okay.
It was
I'm only
unnecessary.
insulted a little bit.
Didn't care about it. Clone Wars. Sorry, God dang it. Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. I always say that wrong. Then Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Then wait. Hold on. Back up. Starting over. I messed up. I messed up. We'll go. No, we'll still say I'm still going from bottom to top. So
Okay,
Rise of Skywalker is dead last, bottom for
okay,
sure. Terrible trash. Solo is next.
okay,
Then Attack of the Clones.
okay,
Then Phantom Menace. Then I'll put The Last Jedi. Then I'll go with this is so tough. Revenge of the Sith.
okay.
Then I'll go Rogue One. Then I'll go with I Return of the Jedi. Then I'll say A New Hope, and then tied for the top spot is Empire. And if I had to pick, I would choose Empire as my top spot, and uh,
And Force
Force
Awakens.
Awakens is my second movie.
Okay, okay, okay. Not a bad list. Not a bad list.
I don't think I've ever seen
Very,
anyone with that same list. So,
very unsurprising that the original trilogy dominates the top. Very unsurprising.
right. All right. How about you?
We're gonna do this list normally, and we're gonna go best to worst.
Okay.
Empire, hands down. Obviously, who saw that? Who didn't see that coming?
Right.
And then I would say A New Hope. Uh, Revenge. Yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. Dude, everything about that movie. The opening space battle, the fight between Kenobi and Grievous. Even at this point, I am happy with how Padme and Anakin show their love and affection towards another.
Okay.
I'm all right. I'm okay with it. Uh, Anakin's just further and further descent and his push and push and push and push getting closer and closer and closer. Nightfall, dude, the march on the Temple Order was so fucking sweet.
I agree.
Obviously the duels between Obi-Wan and Anakin and Yoda and Sidious,
Right.
top notch. And then with the final scenes of the twin sons of Tatooine setting as baby Luke is being held by Beru and Owen as they look to a uncertain future as literally the darkness closes in on the galaxy. Uh, what a great ending.
Well,
Um,
let me pause you right there because you said something and I want to say something.
okay,
Unequivocally, the greatest moment in Star Wars history is Luke on Tatooine looking up into the space, into the sky, and seeing the two suns setting. That is the best scene in Star Wars history. The music,
Bills.
the ambience, the
Yeah,
him, the way he's just like staring up at in like wonder of like what's out there. Like he's been this
yeah,
farmer on Tatooine for forever. It literally is to me, it's the best moment in cinema history. Like
sure.
it's just like everything that Star Wars is about the wonderment, the the innocence, the that what's coming next, like it foreshadows everything. Oh my god, it's perfect scene.
Yeah. No, it's great. It is great. That's why it's number 2 on that list.
Okay.
So Empire: A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith. This is where it gets a little crazy. The Last Jedi. Okay, because as a standalone movie, it's a great Star Wars movie.
Yeah, but it's
Standalone.
not better than Force Awakens.
Hey, I didn't interrupt your list, buddy. Okay. Then I'm gonna say Phantom Menace because I loved that kid as a child, growing up. Besides some of the idiocies, namely Jar Jar, still a great movie. Okay.
You're
I'm just
100%
older than
prequel apologist, and I love it.
it's fine. And then I would say Rogue One.
Okay.
Uh, and then afterwards, I would say Solo.
Jesus.
No, you know what? I would say Rogue One, Force Awakens, Solo, Rise of Skywalker, Attack of the Clones, and that's it. That's fine.
So Rise of Skywalker is above Attack of the Clones for you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, it really is that what the spot that, and this is the only reason that Attack of the Clones gets bottom slot is I cannot, for the life of me, just hit a button and skip Anakin and Padme's romance scenes. I just can't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't snap my fingers once and just skip all of it. I have to skip, skip, skip. Oh, too far. Go back, go back. Okay. And then when it comes to skip, skip, you know what I mean? I
Right.
can't physically just get rid of it. So that's why it's last.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I didn't do Return of the Jedi. Phantom Menace, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, Force Awakens, Solo, Rise, Attack of the Clones.
Okay, there you go. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All
Sorry,
right,
sorry, everybody.
quickly before we'll talk about the TV shows last. Before we wrap everything up. I think we're gonna have to do this again though soon.
Yeah, we need
Uh,
another episode
it's
because we didn't.
too
We
much to
we
talk
barely
about.
scratched the surface. We
Barely.
barely scratched the surface
We're
of the
very
stuff we want to talk
very
about.
top level right now. Um, who's your favorite character?
Are we talking books or movies? Like, am I restricted to just the movie
Dude,
characters,
and
or are we
I'm
talking?
talking all of Star Wars. Who's your favorite character?
Look, unsurprising for anybody who knows me ever. Revan. Not Darth Revan, just Revan. I love his story. It's very much more of a what if Anakin wasn't an idiot kind of story. But he's just so fucking sorry. I know I'm cussing a lot. It's just I use it for emphasis. It's just so cool. His story is just awesome. He started out as a charismatic, prodigal young Jedi who managed to somehow convince an entire third of the Jedi Order to follow him, some Jedi Knight, just some dude, just to follow him into battle, ended up turning the tide of this battle, managed to convince half of the Republic military to swear fealty to him, just some dude, took those people, went and said, we're going to try and find and destroy the true Sith, come back as a Sith Lord, starts a war that he helped, I mean, really, like, he helped end, uh, converts another third of Jedi to his side because he's just some dude, gets captured, gets his brain wiped, starts off as a Jedi again, and ends the war that he started. Like, what a resume.
Preach, buddy. That's the answer. It's Revan, dude. Revan's the answer. Like
It's he's just some guy.
exactly, but
He
you said,
wasn't
his
born of the
charisma
Force.
is unreal. Like the fact that
Yeah,
he was able to do all that single handedly, essentially,
seriously.
just unreal. What a great
Ugh.
character. If I had to pick another one, I guess I don't wanna. That's my
That was
answer.
the easy answer. No, look, I got a backup one. Jaden Core.
Okay.
Now, some of you old fans might know that like the name. He was in Jedi Outcast. He was a playable character for, or I'm sorry, not Jedi Outcast. The Jedi Knight series. I was a playable character in the Jedi Knight series. Right, and so as a player character, you start off as this Padawan, who your master out the gate is Kyle Katarn, which
Right.
I don't know if you know, like, what a Jedi Master to, like, whoa,
Uh-huh.
dope. You go and fight a spirit of Marco Ragnos and win, become a Jedi Knight, and then in his career, and this is all told in books now, um, he uh, was hunting down Sith artifacts, trying to keep them out from unsavory hands. And he comes across, and right, broad strokes, I don't want to give it all away because it is a great book, but he comes across this cloning facility where they are trying to clone force sensitive creatures
Mm-hmm.
or beings, do a successful clone, and this group does a clones fading core, and there's this Sith artifact that keeps somebody's soul in the scepter. And so you stab them, it takes their soul. If you stab somebody else, it puts that soul in the new body. During this encounter, during this whole thing, Jaden Core dies. He gets stabbed with the scepter,
Right.
but his perfect clone body is right there in the same room, and his allies stab the clone body, and Jaden Core just goes from some guy who was dead to a clone of himself looking at his former dead body, and then goes on and like after that becomes like that's not what makes him a Jedi Master, but he still goes on to be a Jedi
Right.
Master and fight in the Yusong Vong War and like
Oh,
you know what I
man,
mean? Like
the Yuzong
what
Vong.
a crazy
I
story
want to
he
know. I
has.
want to know more about the Yuzong Vong, man.
Dude,
We've
man,
gotten very little about them. We need more.
yeah,
But if I had
but
to pick a backup, it's so tough because like Vader is like he's got the best redemption story in the history of story. So it's hard not to love him. But if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Ahsoka
okay,
because like
great story.
seeing her progression and everything through the Clone Wars shows and like even her book, which Ashley Eckstein actually narrates for the audiobook for, by the way, really
Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, yeah, just seeing her progress is just so cool. I just love everything about
Yeah,
Ahsoka. Like she's just like, yeah, the Sith, fucking hate them, but the Jedi are kind of assholes too. So I'm just gonna do my own
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. No, that is a good answer. If
But
I'm restricting myself to new canon, Disney canon movies, then I would say Qui Gon Jinn is my favorite character.
Qui Gon's the coolest.
Yeah,
Liam Neeson's the
but
goat.
what a baller. Anyways, I interrupted you. Please
Yeah,
continue.
no. I was just gonna say, but that segues saying Ahsoka segues into our last little topic here, even though it's a bigger
Mm,
topic, but we don't have as much
good
time.
topic.
TV show wise, so obviously that's a new thing in the Disney era, the TV shows.
Mhm.
Well, not counting like the animated stuff, right? Even though that did
Yeah,
continue and honestly got better with Disney.
yeah, yeah,
Um, like Rebels was phenomenal. I could go on and on about Rebels.
yeah. Rebels was so good.
Um,
Mm,
but like the live action stuff specifically is what I'm talking about. So
okay,
we had Mando, which was like the cum de grace, right? And it's a top 5 show ever for me, honestly.
sure.
Um, it's just everything I want Star Wars to be. You know,
Okay.
it does have some memba berries in it for sure, but it's tasteful memba
Beverage.
berries.
Oh,
It's like it's not like, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this. It's just like, hey, here's the dark saber. If you know, you know. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's like turns out it's a really important part of the
That's
story, so you better.
that's. I mean, that's probably the greatest like example you could have given. Like, hey, you remember this thing?
Yeah,
The cool ones will.
yeah, exactly. It's tasteful, and I love the way it's set
Yeah,
up the way George intended to. It's a western
yeah,
style. It's a space western, which is amazing, and the adventure of the week style thing. It's like it just fits
yeah,
so perfectly into what Star Wars is, and I love everything about it. Even the season, like even the one season that people thought was weak, I loved it. I've loved
yeah,
all 3 seasons. I'm excited for
yeah.
more.
Loved all three of them.
Ahsoka was disappointing. especially because I love Thrawn so much. Like the Timothy Zahn, Heir to the Empire, those are my favorite books, Star Wars books for
Yeah.
sure. Um, like they just had so much good to work with, and they just kind of slow played everything, and nothing happened essentially.
So, and really, because I know we are getting low on time, so I'll try to keep it brief. Uh, and I'm going to use a word that you called me on this show. To be an apologist, I would say I liked Ahsoka because it's set up, admittedly, a slow burn, but it's set up uh, for season two of Ahsoka, and so that's a two pronged thing. I hate that they took an entire season to set up really those big
Yeah,
story points for season two. But if you tried to cram all of season one and season two into one season, it'd be convoluted, it'd get messy, it'd be too much. People would the
yeah, but
as
you could
and
cut
I
it
even hate
like
saying this.
you
Well,
could cut season one by like 2 episodes and shorten it to the point where it doesn't feel like it drags out. But then again, if you know
but then
Dave,
how long would season two be? You know what I mean?
maybe, but if you know Dave Filoni, this is what he does. Like
Yeah.
the first season of Rebels is like it's a slog, man. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
it's not
just
very good, but you have to watch it
um,
because there's so much
yeah.
important stuff that it sets up.
Because it is, and so this is the apologist part of me coming out. Like,
Yeah.
understandably, he's building up these events, and he's like, okay, here's how the galaxy is now.
Right.
Here's the things that get these characters here. So when everything hits the fan next season, you know how it hit the fan and where it started to go wrong.
Right.
And so with that mindset and that
Good
perspective,
old
or
filler
yeah, perspective.
Filoni.
Uh, I can appreciate Ahsoka for being the foundation for what is to come, and I liked it because of what it did.
And it's still
Uh,
like I didn't hate it. I was very lukewarm about it. Like there was
yes,
amazing moments, and I love
yes,
that we got to see Thrawn and Ezra and Sabine all on
yes,
the big screen. Like that's so fucking cool.
yeah.
Um, but it yeah.
It's as a standalone season. Yes, 100%. I can see the disheartened with it, and so I try to keep in mind. I see it as Rebels season five, and as a conjunction point because you know as well as I do that Mando and Ahsoka and Rebels in its own way, they are all tying to this singular movie event.
Yeah.
That all of these threads are gonna come to a head in some
Yeah, the
movie.
Mandalorian movie. Yeah.
Yes, right. So, but all of these things have to be shown so that when that movie comes out, nobody's going to be well. Let me rephrase. The people who are going to say, "Well, how does this make sense? Why did this happen? Why did this happen?" are going to be the people who haven't watched
Right.
Ahsoka or Rebels or Mandalorian, right? But
Yeah.
the people who have watched it, you and me, Dan, Ketzerin, my mom, we're all going to be, "Oh my God, that's when! Oh, that's when! Oh my God, that's you know what I mean." We're going to be
For sure.
seeing those points hit. So like, damn,
Yeah, I am excited for that movie, and I have
yes,
very high hopes for it, especially just because I want to watch a Star Wars movie on the big screen again.
hundred
Uh,
percent.
like so there's a lot of the live actions actually. So let's quickly go through them. Like I really liked Andor. I thought it was perfect. It was such a amazing one off. Just continuing the great things you mentioned earlier about Rebels or not Rebels, but Rogue One, where it's just like you don't have to have Jedi to for Star Wars to be amazing.
Yeah.
That was so good. Uh, the Obi-Wan show wasn't perfect, but it still had some of the most amazing emotional moments in Star Wars.
Dude.
Um,
When Obi-Wan sees Vader standing in front of him for the first time as Vader, and that whole
that
encounter is
man,
just ingrained in my brain.
Ewan,
So good.
Ewan McGregor deserved some sort of an award for
Knocked
that
it out of the
for
park.
that for that like that dread and shock on
Yeah.
his face when he's
Yeah.
realized it's just like, oh God.
That's Anakin.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's the Boba Fett show, which is essentially Mando season 2.5.
0.5. Yep.
Uh, there was some really terrible stuff in that show, and even but I like the Power Rangers section. It's so bad.
The
It's like the
Beyblade.
slowest chase of all time, and I don't care. I think it's hilarious, and I like it. I
Oh,
like
it's
it. I
funny,
don't care.
but it was definitely like really
I
Star
know.
Wars, really.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
whole first half of that season was like not good. Like the Mando stuff at the end was phenomenal and
yeah,
well worth watching
really.
the show for. Um, but not great for sure, but still enjoyable. And I think that's all the live actions, right? We got them all.
Uh, Mando season 1, 2, and 3, Ahsoka, Andor, Kenobi,
Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett. Yes, that is all of them.
Yeah,
I'll say this with Book of Boba Fett, I was actually intrigued more by his time with the Tuskens
yeah, me
than I
too.
was at the latter part. Also, my big thing about the thing I didn't like about the Book of Boba Fett was they tried to make Boba Fett this honorable anti-hero hero.
Yeah,
Boba Fett is not honorable,
no,
and
he's
he is
not.
not a hero.
Nope,
He is a mercenary bounty hunter who gets the job done to whoever has the biggest pocketbook. That is Boba Fett
he's
in my head,
merciless.
forever and always. Forever and always.
Like even in the
He'll
Boba Fett
fucking
comics, he only talks when he has to.
exactly
Yeah,
like you're not paying me to say more than I have to. You wanted this information. I got that information for you. You wanted this guy killed. Well, I kill him.
right.
Well, that whole other company
Where's
that I
my
didn't bother
creds?
killing. Yeah. Well, you didn't pay me to kill everybody else. You paid me to kill that guy.
Right.
Like that's Boba Fett,
It
right?
is.
Now we can say in the expanded universe, right? And this is where the disconnect starts to come in. In the expanded universe, Boba Fett eventually goes to Mandalore and becomes the new Mandalore.
Right.
That takes some charisma, that takes some talking, that takes doing things that even he doesn't want to do. But even then, as Mandalore, he is still a no nonsense man who he trains Jaina how to fight like a Mandalorian
Right.
because right and he doesn't give her the time of day. Besides that, he doesn't give he I want to cuss and I'm trying to refrain.
Do it. No,
He
it doesn't
doesn't give
matter.
he doesn't give two licks about why she wants to fight him. He just knows he has to train her because he doesn't want Darth Caedus to be alive.
Right.
That's it. He
Yep.
doesn't care that that's her brother. He doesn't care about who wins. He just does not want that dude alive. And it's like, but even then, he doesn't give a shit. But the Book of Boba Fett trying to make him an anti-hero hero, like, no man, like this dude is ruthless.
Yeah. And
There's no way that
he does have those moments for sure, but
yes,
they were definitely trying to show a side of him that doesn't exist for that character.
for sure. Now and that's not even like I think Tamara Morrison did a great job.
Yeah, I agree.
Phenomenal job. Again, it falls to the writing of
Yep,
it. Like,
for sure. I think
look, if
overall,
you're gonna
like,
write for Star Wars, no Star Wars. That's
yeah,
what it comes down to.
yeah, yeah. I think overall, like, Disney's done a pretty damn good job with the live action stuff, especially
Yeah.
considering or Mando and how phenomenal it is. Um, I think Star Wars does definitely belong in a TV show format because
Oh yeah.
you can't like you need both. Obviously, you need the big screen stuff, the spectacle, but like to really dive into
Yeah.
the universe, I don't want to do that on the big screen. I want the TV shows for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Let me watch it in the comfort of my own home at my own pace, which I'm gonna consume day one. But that's my pace.
right.
Dang it. Uh,
uh, quickly,
so
before we wrap up the show, because again we could talk all night, but I
yeah,
wanted
we
to talk
could. And
about.
we've said this like 5 times.
Well, no, I'm just saying like. I want to say one last thing, and then I'll let you do your closing thing too.
Okay.
So, a story time. Mariah had never seen Star Wars when we met. She watched Star Wars with me and she enjoyed it. But then we went to see The Force Awakens together on premiere night and she fell in love with Star Wars then. So that's part of the reason that that movie holds a very special place in my heart is because it gave my wife and I something to bond over. that's something that I love with all my heart. You know,
Yeah.
I love her with all my heart, and she also really likes this other thing that I love with all my heart. It's just very special.
Yeah.
But you know how many times I saw The Force Awakens just that weekend?
Uh, uh, like 4 times, I think. I think is what you told me.
Six.
Oh, it's so close.
Six
Too
times.
late.
I saw it 10 times before it left theaters.
How many times did you see it with Mariah?
Uh,
Once.
I think twice. I think she only agreed to see it again on my birthday because
Hmm.
it was still
He
in
doesn't let it
theaters
happen.
at the end of January. Like that's
Oh, it was in theaters for like almost 3 months.
yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. All right, what's a cool Star Wars story for you to in the show?
Full Star Wars story. Um, I don't know if it's a cool Star Wars story because it hasn't happened yet. Look, I love Star Wars very, very much. You know this. Mariah knows this. Ketzer knows this.
You
My
like
mom
Star
knows
Wars?
this.
That's weird.
My best friends know this. I have come to the acceptance that if whoever my and this I guess this is a Star Wars story, whoever my partner is going to be in my life, uh, I don't expect them to love Star Wars. But if they have never seen Star Wars and aren't willing to watch it, or B have seen Star Wars and don't like it, they are not my person. That's it. I, I'm not saying you have to love it. I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm saying if you want me in your life, you have to tolerate that I love it. That is the
Bare
bar.
minimum friendship.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Bare minimum. You have to tolerate that I love it. That is it. So I mean, I guess that's my Star Wars story. But no, dude, honestly, I think I'm just gonna end and say I love Star Wars so much. I think my favorite Star Wars memory, it's tied for two of them. Two memories are tied. The first one is seeing Revenge of the Sith on my birthday when it came out in theaters with my sisters.
Yeah.
Uh, Forever will hold a moment because oh, it was the culmination, right?
Yeah.
At that point in time, we knew Star Wars was done. We had episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It was done. It was told. We knew the story of Darth Vader.
Yep.
But to see it with my sisters on my birthday was just such a magical, magical event. And then to see Rogue One with you and my sister and Mariah, I only in like I love Mariah very much, but in the memory, it's I didn't go see Rogue One with her. I went to go see Rogue One with you.
Yeah.
You know, my
Because
best bud,
to,
my best buddy.
well,
Like
to add a little reference to this, we had never met in person. It was
exactly,
the
yeah,
first time we had met in person, and we go do the thing that we love the most
yes,
together. It's like it was surreal,
yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah.
I still
It's
think
yeah.
about
So
that day all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
That memory, the picture we took of all of us in the movie theater,
Yep.
that just came up on my memories. Like, hey, you remember this? It happened fucking 6 years ago.
Yeah. Shoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that memory of seeing Star Wars with you is tied for seeing Star Wars
Oh, you're gonna make
with my
me
sisters.
blush.
That's the point.
No, for real, man. It
So
was an incredible memory. Yeah, I
yeah,
concur. Well, that's all the time we have tonight. We ended up going like an hour and a half, which is like light work for us for sure.
seriously, seriously.
We're gonna have to do this again sometime. But thanks for everyone listening to the Nerd Bites Star Wars special. I'm not
Yeah,
sure when we'll do this again, but I definitely want to. So maybe
yeah,
we'll plan it around another Star Wars event this
yeah.
year. So yeah,
Which Acolyte is coming out June 4th. So I
I
mean,
know
maybe then,
that's my son's
maybe then.
birthday. Also, Kaiju number 8 issue 10 comes out that day too. It's a big day, big
Okay,
day.
big day, big day.
Yeah,
Probably most important because of Star Wars.
yeah, not my son's birthday or anything. Yeah.
Not your son's birthday. No, no, no. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode, but I think we'll do this again. So, what do
Yeah.
we always say, Philip? Until next time.
I know what you want me to say, but because this is a Star Wars special, I'm gonna say, "May the Force be with you
I love it.
always."
Always.